we like to rank. We like to talk about GOATs. We like to say who's the best. So will Andy Reid be the greatest NFL coach with a win on Sunday, Keyshawn?
No. He would, he's done amazing things throughout his career, but it's hard to surpass Bill Belichick at this moment.
Right.
Even winning 3 straight. You may get past Bill Walsh, you may get past some of those other coaches, Bill Parcells, some of those guys that's in the Hall of Fame, but it's hard to pass Bill because Bill went to 11 Super Bowls as a head coach and a defensive coordinator. He's won 8 combined as a head coach and a defensive coordinator. So it's just hard to do that. Even though Big Red has won 3 Super Bowls, could be 4. He has 6 Super Bowl appearances. He's a coach of the year, 9 straight AFC West titles, 6 NFC East titles, 4 most in career wins, which that number will continue because he said he's going to coach next year. 26 seasons as a head coach. All those numbers are great. Mm-hmm. But because Bill got all those Tom Brady trophies and Lawrence Taylor trophies at his crib, it's just hard for him to catch that. But 3 in a row, nobody's ever done that. So it gets you closer, but it's not close enough to pass.
Yeah, he skips the line because right now I got him 4th, of course, under Bill Belichick. Chuck Noll has 4 Super Bowls. Bill Walsh has 4 Super Bowls. But when Andy Reid gets his 4th, if he gets his 4th, it'll be 3 in a row, like we said. He skips the line, so I'm going to have to open that velvet rope. Here you go. Here you go, Andy. Come on in. You in.
So he's waiting outside right now?
Yeah, he outside the velvet rope right now.
But they thinking about letting him in, but they got to find somebody.
It's only a seat for 3 right now. I got Bill Belichick in this section, Chuck Knowles, and Bill Walsh. This is the section. Like us 3 at this table.
Kind of clear out.
So now when he wins, I'm going to have to say, hey, y'all flip a coin for that seat.
Oh, so it's only 3 seats?
It's only 3 seats.
Oh, I thought you was going. I thought you was asking them to add an extra seat.
Yeah, no, we're going to have to move somebody over. You know what, Andy? Get on over here. I'm sorry, Bill Walsh or Chuck, one of y'all flip a coin to see who got to get out of here. Because this guy, but Bill Belichick, his chair is a little higher. You know what I'm saying? He's sitting where Joy, he's sitting where Joy at. Okay. Yeah, he's sitting a little higher, but then, Andy could come sit right next to him and be cool, have a cup of coffee with him. But he's not there yet. But it may reach a point to where he's going to have to exchange seats with Belichick. He keep doing stuff like this. Because if he get the 4-peat, that'll put him at 5 championships.
4.
No, listen, though. If he get the 4-peat, that'll put him at 5 championships. He still got less than Bill, but Bill got to get up for the 4-peat. He got to get up.
Man,
if it's a 4-peat,
he ain't even got the 3.
I know, but if he get the 4, that's when Bill got to get up.
People are going to lose their minds if the Chiefs win and go to the 4th Super Bowl. The world will collapse. It's close already. He has to be considered. But when we talk about the greatest coach of all time, let's just say we all agree that it's Belichick right now, right?
Because I didn't see Lombardi in him. I'm sorry, I just didn't see him.
Well, I mean, regardless, Belichick has 6 Super Bowls and 8 when you consider his Super Bowls as a coordinator as well, plus the 20 years of dominance. I know everyone talks about the 10 years they didn't win, but they were going to AFC Championship games and winning the division. So for 20 years, he was winning and going to Super Bowls, winning Super Bowls. We know what Belichick did. But when we talk about who the greatest are, greatest coaches of all time, is it longevity? Is it the most wins ever? Are we talking about Don Shula? Are we talking about a coach that could win with different quarterbacks? You're talking about Joe Gibbs. Obviously, you mentioned Chuck Noll and Bill Walsh. I think Andy Reid is in that category with those guys. A 3-peat, obviously, being something that is unprecedented, has to put you kind of in your own section, so to speak, like Paul's talking about. But to me, contextualizing the greatest coaches of all time, it's not really as straightforward as we do for players, in my opinion. I think there just needs to be a touch more nuance. Belichick checks all of those boxes because of the longevity, because of the amount of wins, and because of the amount of Super Bowls. But when you go down from there, what is the criteria for the greatest coach of all time? Shula has the most amount of wins, but then you have a guy like Joe Gibbs who went to Super Bowls and won with different quarterbacks. What does that mean as far as coaching goes? Where do you rank them? So I feel like there's a little bit more nuance to consider when we're talking about the greatest coaches of all time, but obviously Andy Reid is easily in that conversation.
But you mentioned it, Joy, it's the dominance, right? You mentioned Joe Gibbs. Joe Gibbs went to 3 Super Bowls, won 3 Super Bowls with 3 different quarterbacks. But over his coaching career, it wasn't so dominant like that. It wasn't just like Andy Reid and Bill Belichick where you sitting up there, you just talking about the dominance, the dynasty. Can they keep these things up? Can he recreate? Let's not even talk about his tenure in Philadelphia.
Right.
His tenure in Philadelphia, he went to 4 straight NFC championship games, eventually got to the Super Bowl, wound up losing to the New England Patriots. But his run in Philadelphia was impeccable.
Yeah.
And then he goes from there and then bunny hops over to Kansas City. And here we are again talking about the run in Kansas City and the things that he's able to do with a quarterback that's still, by all measures, a puppy. He's still a puppy.
Yeah.
Believe it or not. He ain't a full-grown dog yet.
In his prime. No, he a dog.
No. Meaning, no. He's not.
You can be grown a long time.
No, based on, yeah, that's true. No, that's true. That part is true. You can be
grown for a long time.
I know a lot of people enjoy
You know what I'm saying?
has been grown for a long damn time.
That's what I'm saying.
Hey, man, you've been driving since you was 12.
Right. He's been grown for a minute.
But he's got so much football left in him that he's got to still learn. And imagine how scary that's going to be. And I know Big Red said yesterday that he wants to coach at least one more year. He's not leaving Patrick Mahomes anytime soon. You don't leave that quarterback. You don't leave him.
Well, he did already confirm, as you said, that he'd be back for 2025, but he is the second oldest coach in the league, turning 67 in March. So can Patrick Mahomes carry on the Chiefs dynasty after Andy Reid retires, Paul?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've seen it's not done often by a lot of different guys, but when I look at it, Aikman did it. You know, Big Ben did it. You know that. Once the coach he won with left, new coach comes in, steps in. It's like plug and play. Listen, if Andy Reid leaves after next year, after they four-peat, and somebody comes in, it's like going to be plug and play. It's going to be plug and play.
Paul giving them 4 already.
Yeah, they can have it. I'm putting the money in the bank. I'm going to Vegas after they win this 3 and putting the money right on the betting table. 4's coming. No matter, I don't care who the coach. You like a well-oiled machine right now. Everything is.
So you already didn't disclose your pick.
New Orleans to Vegas. Paul gonna need a.
You don't already disclose your pick, Paul.
Yeah, I didn't disclose my pick. Yeah, I sure have. I sure have.
Okay, we can still put a dramatic build up to it.
Right.
I think everyone knows my pick as well. I hear you though. Actually, the Steelers are a great example of that.
Yeah, Ben did it.
I don't know if the dynasty continued, but the fact that he was able to win another Super Bowl with another coach is a great example of that. Can Mahomes carry on the dynasty when Reid retires?
Absolutely. Whenever that is. As long as, in my opinion, there is somebody that has been on the staff that's connected to the Kansas City Chiefs organization under Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. That's somebody, right? And the first thing that comes to mind is Matt Nagy, right? That's the first thing that comes to mind for most people would say. Offense, Matt Nagy, he's sort of, kind of the offensive coordinator, even though we know who's calling the plays and putting things in order. But this thing, for me, goes to Spags. You got to give Spags the inside track and the successor of Andy Reid. I'm sure Andy Reid is probably thinking about that as in a succession plan, thinking about, hey, he's the guy that's going to replace me. Just sit tight, give me a couple more years, and as long as he sits tight, who's leaving Patrick Mahomes? You got to be a damn fool as a coach right now sitting to leave Patrick Mahomes, unless you are Andy Reid. But if you're one of these assistants that's sitting there that has an opportunity to replace Andy Reid with Patrick Mahomes, you just sit tight. Because you ain't getting him nowhere else. You ain't getting him as these other jobs open up.
Right. I mean, I don't know when Andy is thinking about retiring. The fact that he said that he's going to be there next year and not just that he has no interest in retiring is a little scary, because normally they would just say, you know, I'm going to coach as long as I can. I think Andy Reid is really unique. And sometimes coaches have these coaching trees that are successful, and sometimes they're more like a Belichick coaching tree, which is not so successful. It really depends on, to me, what kind of a teacher you are, right? Like, because proximity to genius does not make you smart. it's really studying and the time that person pours into you, how much you take from what they do and not trying to be them, but do what they do best.
No, I said,
it worked for Kobe. It worked for Kobe Bryant.
I mean, yeah.
Hey, you never know. Hey, I'm just saying, Joy. Hey, sometimes you gotta emulate greatness.
Well, that's
and it can work for you. It don't work for everybody.
Yeah,
it don't work for everybody.
Kobe is also great.
But playing it versus coaching it and communicating with players that know what the original looked like. Yeah, it's like, man, please get out of here. I'm not even respecting that. And the reason I was chuckling and thinking about
respect.
Huh?
I mean, he'll always have respect.
Who?
Being under Andy Reid.
No, I'm saying, but when you try to be Bill Belichick,
right?
When you are coaches that have tried to become Bill Belichick and take everything and do it exactly like Bill, you're not going to get respected by doing that.
But I think where coaches went wrong in trying to emulate Bill, and the difference with Andy Reid is personality. Like, when Bill can get away with and could get away with the style of personality that Bill had because Bill had the rings and things to do that.
Yeah. But
if you don't have that resume, it's hard to look people in the face and say, listen, like, you don't get no personality. You don't get to have any say. We don't have any flexibility. But who are you?
But you know,
the guy who was telling me that before had rings to prove it.
Yeah, but not only that, but Paul knows this as a player. I know what you were before you put the headset on. So don't try to be the guy that has a headset on. Because you wasn't like that. We used to talk in the hallway, Joy. Now, all of a sudden, you on the fourth floor.
But what do you
don't want to talk to me now.
What do you want them to do? Like,
well, you got to be the same. One of the first things, let me tell you something, Paul. One of the first things I told Sean McVay called me when he took the job in L.A. We had a conversation. And he said, what do you think? Well, how do you think I should handle this? First thing I told Sean, be yourself. Don't try to be John Gruden. Because he grew up under Gruden. Said, don't do that. Because the first thing players are going to do is they're going to see right through that. They're going to see you not authentic and you not yourself. And so far, good.
My thing is, like, when you move seats, you know what I'm saying? I'm sitting right here. Once you move seats, roles change, your attitude got to change. Like, if I go from this seat, say you the head coach, though, you know how it go. If I'm third seat and I go from this seat to that seat, some stuff got to change. Like, me and him talking every day right here, every day.
No, that's cool, Paul. That's cool.
You know what I'm saying? That
but
seat,
I don't have to turn into the guy in the first seat.
No.
And that's the problem. That's what Joy's saying. They tried to turn into the guy in the first seat. While I was chuckling, let me get back to that for a minute. I just was thinking in my head. I was sitting down one day. There was some guys that we worked with that worked with Bill Belichick and was coaching at the same time and got fired. And one of my colleagues told him, he said, all that time you was riding in the car to and from practice with Bill Belichick, you didn't learn nothing? It was the funniest thing. It was the funniest thing ever. I was like, Paul.
So since he should have emulated Bill then.
But I think you take the things that they do well.
Yes,
you
exactly.
Can't steal their personality.
No, you can't steal
And that's the thing. You
got to make your own imprint on that.
And that's the thing AG is going to do in New York with the Jets. He's got a Parcells in him. He's got a Belichick in him. He's got a Dan Campbell in him. He's got a Sean Payton in him. He ain't trying to beat him.
Jeez.
But at the same time,
I knew it was coming.
I'm not listening to this kid. At the same time, he's mixing all of that up, but he's going to be his own personality.
Right.
Hey, man.
Right.
Paul, we have not made it to New Orleans yet.
I knew it.
Stop.
Let's talk about the Eagles.
Let's talk about the Eagles.
Of this huge Super Bowl on Fox. Offensive coordinator Kellen Moore is just days away from the biggest game of his coaching career. But is he present? Be here now. Moore is the front runner for the only remaining head coaching position, which happens to be for the New Orleans Saints. Pete, you talked about this after the Lions game, I believe.
I don't know, a couple weeks ago.
About
be safe.
Coaches.
You did mention this.
You know, perhaps being a little distracted because up for coaching jobs, and how locked in are they on the task at hand when they are putting together their staff and, you know, gearing up for the next step in their career. Are you worried about Kellen Moore being distracted in the Super Bowl?
I am. I am worried about the little bit of distractions and the focus. And he mentioned it because it's a concern of people that's out there. Unless he was just listening to the show the other day and heard me talk about it, that could be a possibility too. But when you think about it, you're trying to put the staff together, but you're trying to game plan at the same time. And you're trying to manage the task at hand and finish the deal. But at the same time, the New Orleans Saints and Mickey Loomis or whoever, they trying to talk to you. They trying to get you on the phone. Hey, man, what do you think about this assistant? And so you're doing all of that, and it's only human nature. So when you look back at it in this Super Bowl cycle, right, or you go back to since 2008, let me give you a head coach. So Todd Haley, Cardinals offensive coordinator, called a pretty good job, a good game against the Pittsburgh Steelers. They lost. He went on to be Kansas City Chiefs head coach. He took Clancy Pendergast with him as a defensive coordinator. They lost. Bill O'Brien, the Patriots, in 2011, they lost. He went on to become Penn State's head coach. Dan Quinn, Seahawks, 2014, they lost. Went on to the Falcons. Kyle Shanahan, Falcons, went on to the 49ers. Matt Patricia, lost. Patriots, went on to the Lions. You see the pattern here? Now when you start skipping ahead, Jonathan Gannon, Shane Steichen, 2022, they both lost. They went on to be head coaches. So the lack of focus, it points to whatever it is. Maybe you called a good game, but maybe at the point in time that you should have been doing something different, you were not.
Well,
and maybe it's just hindsight.
24 hours in a day.
Maybe it just happens to be that way, and maybe I'm reaching too much. But even Bill Belichick talked about this. How many of those
guys were playing in the Super Bowl?
No, they all of them.
Oh, that was Super Bowl guys that went on to be coaches?
Yeah, and there's a couple that won. There's Kevin O'Connell who won, but he wasn't calling the plays for the Rams. He was a guy with the title as offensive coordinator.
Right.
Sean McVay's calling the plays, but he went to be the head coach of the Minnesota Vikings. So when you think about Frank Reich and the Eagles, he went on to be head coach. They won. He went on to be the head coach with the Colts, but he wasn't calling the plays. Doug Peterson was.
Yeah. I'm not worried about Kellen Moore being distracted for the Super Bowl, because if they lose, ain't nobody gonna be like, well, Kellen Moore was distracted. That's the reason, Kellen Moore. He ain't gonna have no headline the next day. We're gonna be talking about Saquon, Hurts, AJ Brown, Devontae Adams, like, come on.
Well,
Devontae Smith.
I hope he calls a good game, because if he calls a bad game and they lose, we certainly will be talking about Kellen Moore.
If the game plan looks fuzzy.
Man, all game plans look fuzzy versus Andy Reid. I mean, don't they? I mean, that's the norm. I mean, it's the reason they're going for 3 Super Bowls. I mean, come on now.
He won't get blame, but it's a possibility.
They're asking him for a reason, though, Paul. They're literally asking him for a reason.
Nah, this ain't gonna be on Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore, yeah, Kellen. It's apples,
Mr.
oranges,
Moore.
it's all the same.
Mr. Moore.
It's the same thing. Well, win a Super Bowl and I'll get the name right.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.